So what that means is I gotta do this again. It is 4 a.m. Let's get rolling. It is currently 5:57 a.m., which makes it sunrise. I can finally see decently on the trail. Beautiful morning, perfect weather. It's going to be a lovely hike. First bit of rock face. This is your P now sign, because after this point you can't leave the trail. So if you gotta go, hit the woods now. I don't have to go, and let's hope I don't have to while I'm still in the protected area. Look at this view. You'll be able to see the sunrise over the mountains. Plus, I love this like sheer rock face with like little islands of trees and grass. They've clearly rocked them off, provided borders to maintain them. But it creates this really cool landscape. Like little oases. Oases? Oasis? I don't know what the plural for oasis is. But it's really gorgeous and cool. There's the sun. At least I think it's somewhere over there. I have no idea what direction I'm facing. Yeah, that's the sun. Yep. Just had to think about it for a second. A lot of rock face hiking in this hike. But it's warm, sunny and dry. So I'm actually quite enjoying it. That's the trail up ahead. So I gotta go around this rock, but don't slip. 'Cause it's just sheer rock down. You do not want to do this hike in the rain or ice. Well, I jinxed myself by saying the rock faces were fun, because then came this bit. Yeah, that's a drop off. It was a little scary to climb. And I'm glad I'm not going down it. This is why they recommend going counterclockwise. That hurts a little bit. That I thought was fun and pretty. Not this beast of a... Alright, just a little rock scrambling. There's a part of this trail that's called the Boulder Squeeze. I'm not sure if this is it. Due to the way you sort of climb into this rock corner here, or I thought it would be really obvious, and maybe it is and this isn't it, or this is it and it's just really a lot smaller than I was expecting. Sun's fully up now, and I think maybe that's Boulder Squeeze. It does seem more, well, they're all boulders, but that seems more boulder, like you're squeezing between two boulders, and now we're just climbing over them. So let's do it. Put the backpack on. Nope. I shouldn't have put my backpack on. I made it through the squeeze. Third time's the charm. That is definitely the Boulder Squeeze. Because it looks tight, Those are big boulders, way above my head. And a fairly narrow opening with some rock climbing, rock scrambling, so yeah. Let's hope I fit through it all. Alright, I think I'm at the summit. There's no cairn or anything, but it said that I would be treated to a 365 view, which is what I have right here. And then I believe that right there is the summit of Dickey, which is where I'm heading next. And oh boy, look at those sheer rock faces on that mountain. That's exactly what I just climbed, but on the other side. Walked up them, open and exposed like that. But not too bad. Beautiful day. Love the sun. Just gorgeous. So I just came across this massive cairn, and I'm not sure what it's for, because I just came down that mountain, and then I'm going up that mountain. So what does this designate? Halfway point between the two, or what is the point of this? I'll have to look it up when I get home, see if it's in the trail guide. What is this delight? It's like a forest out of a fairy tale. Here we are, what appears to be the summit of Dickey. And look at that cool cloud, it's like puffing up out of the flat clouds. Some trees, and over here we got, oh hey, look at that. I don't know if you can, I can't see this as a viewer, but there are windmills. I didn't know we had windmills up here. They're spinning because there's a breeze going. That's cool. Yeah, oh my gosh, what a gorgeous day. Remember those rock faces I was admiring from the top of Welch? Well, here I am. Pretty cool. I also kind of have to pee, but I'm heading down now, and I think I can make it to below the protected area before it becomes urgent. Like I only a little bit have to pee right now, so I think I'll be fine. Hopefully, we'll see. Another little close-up of our windmills. Look at them spinning there. And here we are, another just open rock. Oh, look at my shadow. Hello. This trail has a lot of ledges that are just fantastic for sitting views. Even in Corona times, you could easily have hundreds of people on this trail and have them all be able to sit out somewhere and be socially distant while having their lunch or whatnot, because there's just so many places that are great for resting with views and that are far enough apart from everyone else. There's the peak of Welch. Here's another one of the rock faces that you could see from the summit of Welch. I'm just walking along the edge of it here. Here we are, back in the woods, just heading down the trail. The wildlife has gotten much noisier than they were this morning, now that the sun's up. Everybody's awake. There's the trail. I was doing some construction over there. There's some other trails Brown Ash Swamp Bike Trail. Well, that explains all the mountain biking tracks I saw. Millbrook Road, Tripoli Road. I don't think this trail's in the guide. I'm going to double check. I gotta not touch the table because it shakes the camera. Shh, out there. Shh. I'm back home. I've had my lunch. I've showered, so put back to rights. I just want to add some few final thoughts about the Welch-Dickey Loop Trail. I can understand why this is such a popular trail because it is a fantastic hike. It has a little bit of everything. It had woods, so you're hiking through the woods, and the trail had roots. It was packed dirt. It had stones. It even had points where it was just the where it had like a little channel, and then it was actually rock face in the trail path itself. It had sheer rock faces. It had scrambles. It had little climbing bits. It was just there were some steep parts, so it felt like you were climbing a mountain. But it was never too difficult. Even the really worst steep bits weren't really that bad at all. And all of that for under 5 miles. It's only 4.5 miles, which is long enough that it feels worth the drive and the effort to do it, but not so long that, you know, you need to pack a lunch or expect to be out there all day. So and add to that all the views. So many views. I mean, really, right from the start, you're doing this like really easy trail piece, like the bottom part, the beginning, first mile and a half, I don't know how long it was. I'll have to recheck my notes, but it was pretty easy. There was a slight incline, but nothing really difficult at all. And then it broke out into this beautiful, gorgeous view. And since I was hiking early, the sun was just rising up over the mountains. It was gorgeous. And then you just kept having them. So because you kept climbing on these like rock faces, so you just always had these spectacular views pretty much the entire time, up in the mountains areas near the peaks. And yeah, nothing strenuous. It was just a great hike. I loved it. I really, really loved it. One of the downsides I would say is the fact that it is popular. So I got there, I pulled in about 5:30 a.m. so the sun hadn't risen yet. It was still dark. Just light enough for me to be able to see some shapes. And I set off. When I set off, there were already 2 cars in the parking lot, and they were both there when I got back. So I think those were people who were like overnighting somewhere. I'm not sure where, because it's not a trail that branches off anywhere or has like other through hikes that you can do. So but they were still there when I got back, and I didn't pass anyone. No one passed me. So I don't know whose cars they were, but they were clearly left there for the night. And then by the time I got back, which was just before 9, there were like 25 cars in the parking lot. And just in the time it took me to untie my boots and switch to my sandals, so like 2-3 minutes, 5 more cars came in. There was a little outhouse in the parking lot, and I'd planned to go to the bathroom before I started my drive home, but there was a line at that outhouse, and I'm not talking about like one person waiting. I'm like, no, there were many people waiting to use that outhouse to get before they started hiking. So it was, and it's a weekday. It's Friday. Granted, it is summer, but it is Friday, so people are still in work. I can't even imagine what this place is like on a Saturday or a Sunday. It must just be mobbed. Crazy popular trails. So I don't want to say necessarily that you have to go at 5:30, but ideally, if I didn't pass a single person, I had the trail myself. It was gorgeous. It was a lovely hike, which I was surprised by, because when I was in the parking lot, here's another story for you. So second I parked, and just as I'm reaching to open my door, I hear a dog bark, and I'm like, but you have to pass a lot of like houses and condos. There's a lot of condos in that area, so you're driving basically down there, all the different streets, and you see all the different condos off in their little nooks. So I just figured it was someone's dog was out. So I open my door and I step out, and then I hear this deep barking and this growl, and it was coming from just the other side of the parking lot. So I parked on one side and against the other side of the parking lot. But like I said, it was dark. I could just barely make out some shapes in that direction. So I could see where the parking lot ended and like the woods started, and it was like coming from there. But this was like this dog was growling, and it was the bark of a larger dog, not like a little yippy dog. It was a big dog, and this was definitely I want to attack you barking. It wasn't friendly, happy barking. Kept whining and growling and barking at me, and I couldn't see anything, and I literally just stood. I'm standing outside my car, but the front door is still open, and I'm just standing there ready to leap into my car and shut the door if he suddenly comes running out of the woods at me. He didn't, so I stood there for about like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and so I'm like, this dog has not attacked me yet, so he must be tied up. So I'm like, okay. So I go around, I grab my pack, put it on, shut the door, and I'm trying to figure out where the trail starts. So I see a trailhead over here, but then they have the big bulletin board where they have like the maps and stuff. So I sort of start walking over that way because I knew the trail split. It made a loop like this. So I'm like, I want to go this way. So I see the trailhead over here, but I'm like, do I go start there and then it splits? Or is there a separate trail over this way that I should pick up on the other side of the bulletin board? So I walk over to the bulletin board, and this whole time this dog is barking, and it's like really close, and he's making me very nervous. I mean, I was actually scared. I was very scared because it's dark, and I'm being barked at by this dog. And I noticed this sort of like shape in the grass. There was a picnic table I could see, and then this sort of like shape in the grass next to the picnic table. While I'm sort of standing over the bulletin board, I hear a voice sort of into the woods a little bit, telling the dog to be quiet. And then as I'm standing there at the bulletin board trying to figure out if I want to get any, because I would have had to walk closer. I would have had to walk closer where the dog was barking in order to get around to the other side of the bulletin board to see where the trail started. Suddenly that sort of shape on the ground moved, and someone was sleeping. They were camping right there, like in the parking lot. So someone was sleeping, and then he sort of sat up and yelled at the dog to be quiet. And I'm like, all right, so clearly this dog is with this group, these people who are sleeping here in the parking lot. And I'm like, why? Like I said, this trail doesn't go anywhere or come from anywhere. Why are people camping out here overnight? So I figured they would just wanted a really early start. Like they'd done another trail late, and they're like, here, let's go right to the trailhead. And so we have an early start. So I expected them to pass me on the trail, but they didn't. So I decided I couldn't tell if the trail was on the other side of the bulletin board or not. I just decided I was like, I remembered reading that it split off. So I went with the main trail path, and sure enough, right there it split. And the dog's still barking, but as I get further into the woods, he quieted down. So I started the trail, like it's dark. My heart is racing because I was so scared by this dog, and I'm like basically running beginning of that trail. So is it a really nice beginning trail? I don't know. I basically passed in a blur because I was just trying to get out of there. But overall, great trail. I think this is a great trail. I wouldn't bring young kids on it just because there's some really, I don't want to say steep, but expansive rock faces that I think you wouldn't want a young child on. And you definitely wouldn't want to do it in the ice and snow or rain. But otherwise, it's a great trail. I highly recommend it. Just get there early and beware of dogs. When I decided to do this trail, I decided the day before, and I just took off. It's like I pulled up the driving directions and the map and the recommendation on which direction to go, and then I went. I didn't actually look it up in my guidebook. So while I was actually on the trail, there was one point where I saw like a little footpath go off, and part of redlining is that you do any outlook or off trail section that is mentioned in the guide. So I saw this little off trail, and I'm like, oh no, I forgot to read the trail guide before I left. So I don't know if any of these cow paths are actually mentioned and I should be doing in order to count towards the redlining. So it was last night, actually not last night, the other night, I actually opened it up and read through. Let me find it here. Approaching the summit of Dickey Mountain, an obscure branch route intermittently marked with cairns leads right 0.2 miles over the ledges to a fine north outlook from a large open ledge. Womp womp. So what that means is I gotta do this again and make sure I capture that little 0.2 north outlook in order for this to count. Alas. But also, it does mention to the right, Brown Ash Swamp Mountain Bike Trail leads 1.7 miles through Dickey Notch. So they do actually mention the bike trail. It's not a part of the trails listed in the book, but because it is mentioned or referenced, I believe that means I should do it because they talk about it here. So even though it's not a printed trail, it is something in order to qualify as redlining, I should actually do it as well. So I'm thinking, I wonder if there's a parking lot near it, because I can do the mountain bike trail and then come up and back down instead of doing the whole loop again, and that would cover everything. Actually, that's what I'm gonna do. And I was thinking I could bring my sister with me because it's such a nice trail and we like to hike together. But I'm thinking maybe in the fall when the leaves have started to turn, because that would be beautiful. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. But in that case, I would want to do the whole hike because a lot of the really fantastic outlooks were on the Welch side. So maybe I'll just do it 3 times and keep bringing people there because that was so good of a hike it was. I'll just once a month I'll hike the Welch-Dickey Trail.